Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round 4 of the RWB GT4 League. I'm your host today, Zach Tier, and today we have a little bit of a wet weather qualifying right now. As you can see, there's a lot of thunderstorms going on. It's probably going to be thunderstorms for the next 15 minutes for the duration of this qualifying lap, this qualifying session. But today we're at Johannesburg, we're at Kalami. Track has 16 different turns, a lot of different elevation changes, a lot of fast sweeping turns, some really tight hairpins, so a lot of good variation here. It's going to make this wet weather very challenging. Wouldn't want to be these drivers today. It's definitely going to be a challenging next 70 minutes. Kalami, 10 of those turns, 16 turns are left-handers. 6 of them are right-hand turns, 4.5 kilometers. The track times, typically range between 2:12 in the wet, but if it's a dry, we'll probably see a few seconds faster than that. Drive-through time right now is 23 seconds, so drive-through isn't super critical. It's not the longest pit lane out of some of the tracks that we've seen so far, but definitely could play a role later in the race, especially with this wet weather. It's a lot easier to go off track. Pit times will probably range right around 1 minute. Kalami Grand Prix is a motor racing circuit located in Johannesburg, South Africa. The circuit has been used for Grand Prix and Formula One races and has hosted the South African Grand Prix many of times. Among the Formula One races held at the track, the 1977 South African Grand Prix stands out. It is principally remembered for the fatal accident that claimed the lives of race marshals Frederick Janssen van Uren and driver Tom Price. In recent years, the circuit has developed into a residential and commercial suburb of Johannesburg. More recently, Kalami has played host to 5 rounds of the Superbike World Championship from 1998 to 2002, and later in 2009 and 2010. The season finale of the Superstar Series in 2009 and 2010, and the South African round of the 2008-2009 A1 Grand Prix season. International racing returned to the circuit in November 2019 when it hosted the 2019 Kalami 9 Hour, serving as the season finale of the 2019 Intercontinental GT Challenge. It is scheduled to host the inaugural 6 Hours of Kalami on 6th of February 2021, which is an upcoming race, as part of the 2020-21 FIA World Championship, Endurance World Championship. Right now they're qualifying. It's about 9 minutes left in this qualifying session. Track conditions are flooded. Thunderstorms for the next 20 minutes. Ambient temperature is 20 C. Track temperature is 21 C. So it's fairly cold. And especially with these rain conditions, it's going to be really hard for these guys to get temperature into these tires. Let's go on board with the pole sitter right now, C-Hacks. We'll wait for him to come across the start-finish line coming up here. And the McLaren, that red and black McLaren, definitely appreciate those RST colors. Really good looking livery there. McLaren definitely probably going to be a strong car here at Kalami. It's going to be really challenging with these wet conditions. As you can see, C-Hacks really struggling for grip through there, especially on these downhill elevation changes. Cars is really going to want to push through those turns. So C-Hacks is coming up to the final sector here. We'll do an onboard with him, do a lap here at Kalami. So as he comes across the final turn, he's going to cross the start-finish line, and he's going to go down this front straight down to turn 1, which is the kink. It's easily flat, right-hand turn, leading up to turn 2. Turn 2, Crawthorne. It's going to be a left-hand turn. You're going to have to really slow down the car, really get the car into a good position for turn 3 and turn 4, which is a kind of a sweeping section. It's going to be hard, really, with these wet conditions, especially in these GT4 cars that don't have a lot of traction. Up to turn 5, barbecue. It's a little bit of a uphill section. want to get on the throttle nice and early for this back straight. Can make a lot of time, a lot of positions here, but you're coming up onto turn 6, which is Sunset. This is a downhill right-hand turn. Really going to be easy to get collected here and go wide. As you can see, Seahawks getting a little bit of a, get a little bit loose there. He's holding on to it though. Up into turn 7, which is Clubhouse. Nice wide sweeping turn here. Want to carry a lot of speed. Get on that throttle. Down to turn 8. Turn 8's a little bit tricky. You want to be on the inside, on the left-hand side. Set the car up. Kiss the curb on the right-hand side. Out of turn 9, uphill. So the car really wants to push wide there. But coming up to turn 10, which is Leocoup, it's a little bit of a blind turn. You want to aim for that billboard there. Really slow down the car. Turn left up to turn 11, which is going to be a downhill turn. Really going to be easy to go wide here. Maybe go off the dirt into the grass, especially if you're going too wide through there. Downhill up to turn 12, which is Mineshaft. Easily flat corner, might be a little bit challenging, a little small lift and the wets here. Turn 13, the Crocodiles. Really got to turn the car, slow it down, and right-hand turn out of turn 14. And it looks like C-Hax is going to pause the car, so we're going to go on board. I think that was C-Steam. But unfortunately, they got 5 minutes left in the qual, so a lot of them are probably going to start coming in for set up their pit strategies. The last turns, turn 15, is a right hand's called turn Cheetah. You don't want to take a lot of curb through there. You know, you want to be as flat as possible. The curb can upset the car, but you really want to make that corner as wide as possible. And then turn 16 is the left-hand final turn. It's a chicane, so you really want to slow the car down, get it on the throttle nice and early, and get a lot of speed going across the start-finish line. Let's go ahead and start with a rundown, guys. 5 minutes left in this qualifying. Conditions are still treacherous. So right now in P1, we have RW Taveron. He did a 2:11.2 last lap. He's in the Aston Martin. Rick Bennersley in P2, absolutely been doing a fantastic job this league. He's in the Aston Martin. P3, we have Jamie McKee. He is in P3. He's actually in the Audi, which is traditionally not a very competitive car here. You know, in the GT4 class. He's somehow making it work here. He's on sitting on podium right now. P4, we have Joran Ruling. He is in the Mercedes. RWB Seahawks, he's in P5 right now. He's in that McLaren. P6, we have Adam Sharp. He is in the Aston Martin. He did a 2:12.5 last lap. P7, we have Finley Harvey Brown. He did a, sorry, we had a technical difficulty. P7, Aston Martin. That's Finley Harvey Brown. He did a 2:12.5 last lap. Philip Varley, he is in the Aston Martin as well. He did a 2:12.8 last lap. P9, we have Sam Snelltrain. He's in the Porsche. It'll be interesting to see how the Porsche does here today. It's a, you know, got a traditionally a pretty competitive car, pretty good POP. I think it'll be fairly good in the rain, but we'll have to wait and see. P10, we have Don Jordan. He is in the Aston Martin. We have in P11 Dave Crew. He's in the pits, probably adjusting that pit strategy. He's still got 3 minutes, 40 seconds, so he might be changing the setup just to maybe get a little bit out of the car before the end of qualifying. Probably get another lap in if he makes it quick. In P12, oh, we had a broadcaster crash, guys. Just give us 1 second, guys. We're just going to restart that race director, get the camera controls back under our control, but just stand by 1 second. All right, and we're back up and running. Sorry about that, guys. Always some technical difficulties, it seems like. But we have in P13, Dave Crew. He's in the McLaren. Did 2:13.14 last lap. P14, Justin Madley. He is in the Porsche as well. Got that nice RWB livery. It's hard to see with these treacherous conditions, but he's in P14. P15, we have Ian Simcox in the Aston Martin. Did a 2:13.5 last lap. P16, this is actually pretty surprising. C-Sam is actually right now in the championship, is in P2. He is in the pits, and he's actually in P16, so I'm not sure if the Mercedes just doesn't have a good BOP here, or maybe it's just not really hooked up, you know, a good setup in the wet, but he's kind of near the back of the pack, which is pretty surprising. P17, we have Jeff Kepler. He did a 2:13 last lap. P19, Gory Portwig, he is in the Mercedes as well, so maybe these Mercedes are not doing too well, but he did a 2:13.8 last lap. P20, we have Jody Barclow. He did a 2:13.8 last lap. He's in the Aston Martin. Dot Doors in P21, he's in the McLaren, and he did a 2:13.9 last lap. P22, we have RWB Helmet, did a 2:14.8 last lap in the BMW. I think this is the only BMW on the grid. Pretty easy to spot with those bright lime green wheels. Definitely got those lights on, but we got 50 seconds left in the session here, guys, and we got 23 cars on the grid. So we're kind of down on attendance, but you know, it's mid-season. There's a lot of things going on, and these conditions are absolute treacherous. So this is going to be an absolute insane next 70 minutes of a race. Let's go back up to the pole sitter, RWB Tavon. Oh, he's in the gravel just a little bit. These conditions are going to be, you know, pretty hard to maintain for the whole entire race. We'll have to see if the race conditions are rain. You know, the race is on another day, so they could change. So we'll just have to wait and see. But there's 18 seconds left in this qualifying session. RWB Tavern is 3 tenths down, so he's not going to probably, but let's go on board with P4 right now. Ignacy Buchek, he's 2 tenths up right now. He's in P4. This would put him up into P3 if he's able to complete this lap. You know, it looks like he just lost it in the final few corners there. Let's see if he can make it back up. You can absolutely tell that car is just absolutely dancing on the limit with these wet conditions. These GT4 cars, they don't have as much aerodynamic grip as the GT3 cars. So it's going to be a lot harder to go through these corners at speed with these wet conditions. They just don't have the downforce, the force that's pushing the car down, sucking down to the ground to keep the car planted. So we'll just have to see. Looks like Buchek is pretty much even with his split right now, so I don't know if he's going to bump up to P3. Still a few turns left. This is coming up into P13, the Crocodiles. You can hardly see the car with how much rain is coming down right now. Going through the Cheetah, I want to take a lot of curb through there. Probably easy to go a little bit wide there, but Buchek is able to keep it on the track up into the final turn, turn 16, Ingwe. And he's down 2 tenths, so it looks like he's not going to get bumped up a position. Let's move on to Finn Hartley Brown. He was 5 tenths up right now. He's in P10. He did a 2:12.5 last lap. He is in Cheetah. Let's see if he can bring it. It gets a little bit loose there. Still 5 tenths up, though. This is going to gain him a few positions, it looks like. See where he ends up as he crosses the start-finish line. Lost a few tenths there, but I think it might be just enough to bump him up to P9, which it did. Took P9 right at the end there. So as we wait for the grid to form up here, guys, let's go ahead and talk about the championship points right now. This is round 4, so there has been 3 previous rounds. Round 1 was at Hungaroring. Round 2 was at Silverstone. Round 3 was at Zanderfoot. Your top 3 guys right now, Finn Dogs in P1, C-Sam in P2, and Oliver Curtin P3. pretty close in the points right now. It's only separated by about 20 points. So anything could happen this next race. But these guys are getting lined up. They're getting ready to go on the grid. Let's go put the camera on RWB Tavon. Let's put the hell cam on. It's going to be a really good start here. We do have wet conditions, unfortunately. It's going to make it kind of tricky for these guys. The next 15 minutes that we have a forecast. It's flooded, thunderstorm for the next 15 minutes. Ambient temperature is 20. Track temperature is 20 C. 16 kilometers per hour wind. So wind could come into a factor here. It could give them a little bit of push, especially with these high speed corners where these cars don't have a lot of aerodynamic downforce. Starting with the grid, let's see. P1, RW Tavon. P2 is Rick Bennersley. P3, Yaron Ruling. P4, Ignacy Buchek. P4, Jamie McKee. P5, Marco Badowski. P6, Don Jordan. P7, Adam Sharp. P8, Finley Harvey Brown. P9, RWB Hacks. P10, Leo Wicks. P11, Philip Varley. P12, Sam Snelltrain. P13, Dave Crew. P14, Justin Madley. P15, Ian Sincox. P16, RWB CSAM. P17, Jeff Kepler. P18, Jurog Portwig. P19, Jody Barklow. P20, Dot Door. P21, Alex Smith. P22, RWB Helmet. And P23, Ignacy Buchek. It looks like that was a duplicate unless Buchek got disconnected. It looks like we did get a few that got disconnected. 23 cars on the grid right now. Let's put the camera back up to Vaughn. 58 seconds left in this race. 75 minutes on the clock. Let's talk about the pit strategy here. I think pit strategy will make a big difference here, especially with these flooded conditions. So the pit strategy here is they do not have to take any tires. They can, make these tires last the entire race. They do have to take some fuel though. It's up to the drivers how much fuel they take. They can take as little as 1 liter, which means they're taking the full fuel load, the fuel weight of the car the entire race, or they can do a little bit of a splash and do a little bit of splash and dash at the end. Or what they can do is they can do about half tank now. Get the weight of the car down, allow them to, take the corners with a little bit more speed, and then come in at their pit strategy, take a little bit more fuel, and make it to the end. It should be interesting to see who does the undercut, who does the overcut. But we have 3 seconds here. Cars are going to go ahead and get started rolling. Start procedures, they're going to roll, they're going to form up, and then when the green flag goes, they're going to be racing. So we have the camera on RW Tavon right now. He's on pole position. Coming around turn 16. Ingwe coming up to the start finish line, getting nice and gridded up. And their green looks like RW Tehran got a great start there. Looks like Bennersley got a little bit of a bad start there. Looks like he's going to lose that position. Looks like to Euron Ruling. Let's see if they can keep it clean up into turn 2. Crawthorne. Little bit of contact there. Looks like the Audi went a little bit, lost the back end just a little bit there. That's going to really play out for RW Tavon. Rick Bennersley is still right there with him, though. It looks like they've kind of got a little bit of a gap between P3 and P4, though. An unfortunate contact there, but it's going to happen with these wet conditions. The cars just aren't going to stop the same way that they're used to. Looks like RWB Turan is getting a little bit of a lead here. Looks like he's got about a 1 second gap now. And they're coming up to, looks like turn 8, the S's. It's going to be really interesting to see how these cars react to the wet conditions. And Tavon's making it look like absolute class order. This is the master class here, guys. Car looks absolutely planted, very stable through these corners. Doesn't look like he's getting a little bit too loose. Really good driving. Let's go ahead and go back down to the mid part of the grid. Let's see if we have some close battles here as Tavon completes his first lap. He's got about a 2-second gap now, so he's kind of pulling away here. Let's go on board with Don Jordan, who's in P4 right now. Pretty good battle between him and Marco Badowski. About 5/10 that split them up right now, and then it looks like they're also catching ground on the KTM. I'm not sure who that is, and we'll have to check here in a second. Let's go on board, get a good chase cam just to see what these guys are doing condition wise. And that's what your view is, guys. Absolute mental going through these corners. Let's go on board with Finn Harley-Brown, who makes a pass on the inside here. Oh, he's not able to keep onto it, though. He goes a little bit wide. I think Don Jordan's going to get that position back. It's going to make these conditions are going to make it really hard to make a inside job like that and be able to make it stick. Car just does not want to stop. Just going to keep going because of the momentum of the car. But absolute treacherous conditions. Can barely see anything. It's going to make for a long 75-minute race. Oh, got a little bit loose there. Was able to hang on to it. It makes you wonder, you know, if a really stable, calm, collected driving style is really going to pay dividends here. I think if a lot of these guys get too aggressive here, they're going to actually lose a lot of time, and it's going to be more about consistency this race than outright pace. You can absolutely see Finn Harley-Brown just sawing at the wheel there, just trying to keep the car going the direction he wants it to. RWB Cost says, savage conditions. Yeah, I would have to agree. I would not want to be one of these drivers right now. Oh, the car gets loose. It gets a little bit too much curb on the inside. He loses the car. Hopefully he's able to keep it out of the barrier. Maybe a little bit of a wall tap. But unfortunate play of events for Finn Harley-Brown. He's going to get knocked down to, looks like P5 or 6. Not sure. It hasn't updated yet. Let's go on board with Ian Simcox. A pretty good battle going on right now between him and Gorik Portwig. Three-way battle, P13, Ian Simcox, P14, Gorik Portwig, and P15, Dot Door. Gorik just really getting close, and I think that's sharp on the back of his car. Oh, Ian Simcox, sorry. Looked like there was maybe a little bit of contact there. They had to pull off just in time to make not contact. Oh, and he must have hit a puddle because he just loses it down the straight. There was no cornering at all there. Car just got loose on him going down the straight. Probably hit a puddle. Probably lost traction of that those rear wheels, and the car just spun around. Absolutely nothing to do there. Probably collected a little bit of damage. Looked like he went into the barrier there. Lost a few positions. Looked like 2 positions here. Man, you can't help but wonder if they're going to make it the full 75 minutes in these conditions. Let's go on board with Marco Badowski, who has Don Jordan right on his tail right now. It looks like about 5/10, 4/10 that separate them as they go through sunset right now. You have to wonder if the K team is going to have a little bit of advantage up here. The K team is a little bit lighter of a car, so you know there's a less mass that needs to stop in these corners. You know, it's not going to affect it as much in the rain. That being said, getting on the throttle might be a little bit more of an issue because there's not as much weight. But it looks like Badowski's making it work. He's on podium right now. Don is right behind him, though. We'll have to see what happens in the next few corners as they come into Cheetah, the Crocodiles. And you can barely see the car. The rain is just absolutely barreling down right now. Ambient temperature is dropping just slightly. We're down to 19 Celsius. It's going to be interesting to see if these drivers really struggle to get temperature in these tires, especially after these first, 2 to 5 laps. At the beginning of the race, the tires, they have, warm tires. With these the wet conditions, it really plays into kind of a slippery slope. You really need to push the car to get heat in the tires, but if you push it, you might go wide. So it's going to be a really big struggle here, I think. Badowski getting a little bit loose on that straight through there up into turn 2 Crawthorne. Badowski goes a little bit wide. Don Jordan closes the gap just a little bit. Up into Barbecue. Don Jordan is just absolutely right on the back of Badowski. Let's go and look, see Don Jordan. Oh, Don Jordan gets a little bit loose on the exit of Barbecue and loses it into the wall. Badowski gets a good chase of, a good gap here between him and Hungaroring. It looks like about a 3-second gap right now. Absolute unfortunate event for Don Jordan. You can tell these conditions, these cars are really struggling here. Gonna wonder if these guys are gonna really start cranking up the traction control and the ABS just to keep the car from, going off track into the barriers. Let's go on board with Leo Wicks, who's fighting the whole P5 right now with Jamie McKee. Jamie's in that Audi. He did get into that incident on the first lap. Looks like he's making a move on around the outside up into Le Coupe. Jamie goes really deep on the braking there. It looks like he's able to get the job done. Yeah, it looks like Leo's being very cautious here. He's trying to keep the car nice and clean. He's trying not to go off track. Broke a lot earlier than Jamie right there, and Jamie was able to get it done and take P5. All right, we are 3 laps into the race, guys. Let's go ahead and go from the top down. In P1 right now, RWB Tavon, he is in the Aston Martin. He's got a 4-second gap. He's, really stretching those legs, really getting a gap here behind. His last lap was a 2:11.7, so fairly fast lap, especially for these conditions. Rick Binnersley, he's in P2. He is in the Aston Martin. P3, we have Marco Badowski. He's in the KTM. He's got a 2-second gap. He's fighting to keep it from P4. Hungaroring, who is in the Mercedes. Leo Wicks, he's in P5. He's in the Aston Martin. Jamie McKee, who's in P5. He's in the Audi. And I think the race director... Oh, there we go. Finn Harvey Brown, he's in P6. He is in the Aston Martin. P7, Don Jordan. So Don lost 2 or 3 positions because of that wreck, unfortunately. Just got a little bit too aggressive on the exit of the throttle there. Just got a little bit too much wheel spin. Unfortunate. But yeah, he's in P7. He's in the Aston Martin, I believe. I don't believe he pitted, so he probably didn't pick up a lot of damage. Justin Madley, he's in P8. He's in the Porsche. He did a 2:13.9 last lap. 4/10 up, 2-second gap. P9, Jeff Kepler. He is in the Porsche. He's got Adam Sharp right behind him, though. He's got a 7/10 gap behind. Adam Sharp, he did a 2:13.7 last lap. Jeff Kepler did a 2:14.1 last lap, so he definitely closed the gap just a little bit through that last lap. Let's go on board with P11, Dot Door. He's in the McLaren. Dave Crew, who is in P12 right now in the McLaren. That blue and orange livery, I love that livery. It kind of reminds me of the Golf livery, the Porsche cars. Really cool livery, love it. Ian Simcox, P13. He's in the Aston Martin. P14, Sam Snelltrain. He is in the Porsche. Alex Smith is in P15. He is in the Aston Martin. P16, Philip Varley. P17, Gorig Portwig. Gorig must have lost a few positions. I'm wondering if he pitted early, and it does look like he did pit. You can see if someone pitted by looking at the standings up in the top left corner. If you see there's that green box, it means they've done their pit. So I think Gorig maybe got into an incident or maybe just decided to go ahead and pit early. Hopefully he'll be able to get an undercut move. But yeah, he's going to have to fight for some positions here right now. He's in P17. In P18 is CSAM, who's also done his pit. Looks like they're maybe got into a collection or just trying to get the undercut strategy. P19 RWB helmet, he's in the BMW. He's also done his pit. P20 we have Jody Barclow, he's in the Aston Martin. He has done his pit as well. And then in P21 to close it up, it's RWB Hacks. He's in P21. He hasn't done his pit yet, so we'll have to see where he ends up. But let's go on board with Adam Sharp, who's fighting, looks like Jeff Kepler for that position right now. I'm sorry, that was Dave Crew that just got the move done on the inside up through Barbecue up into P10. Took that position from Adam Sharp here. Dave did a 2:13.4 last lap, so 3/10 faster than Adam Sharp. And it makes you wonder if this McLaren is gonna, these mid-engine cars you're gonna do a little bit better here. Oh, it looks like Adam just got a little bit loose there on the straight. These cars are really getting loose on the straights here. These puddles are really starting to make a big effect in these cars. Jody Barclow looks like, it looked like he was defending, but I think he just passed someone through the pits here. Let's go on board with Rick Binnersley. He's in P2. He did a 2:12.4 last lap, coming up through T13, the Crocodiles. Coming up to T15, which is the Cheetahs, that curve that you want to take a lot of curve there. Nicely done. About 15 minutes into the race, guys. 6 laps in. Still have thunderstorms predicted for the next 15 minutes of this race, so it doesn't look like it's going to clear up anytime soon. Makes you wonder if these guys are going to make any adjustments on the fly. Leo Wicks defending against Don Jordan, who's taking the going to take the inside line going up to turn 2 Crawthorne. Let's see if he can get it done here. You can really see those cars fishtailing as they go down that straight. Don Jordan's take the inside line. They're door to door, but they do not make contact. Looks like Don is going to be on the outside going through the S's. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there. Don just loses the car. He is able to keep it pointed straight down the road here. It looks like Leo's going to let Don Jordan by. It looked like contact on his part, so that's absolute fantastic racecraft. RWB, they really stand by their mottos. They're racing hard, they're racing clean, and they're racing for position, but absolute outstanding racecraft by Leo Wicks there. Don Jordan takes that position. He's up into P6, and Leo is now defending against Justin Madley in the Porsche, who's all over his back right now. Let's take a rear view look to see how close that Porsche. And Jeff Kepler is also in the Porsche right behind Justin Madley. It's a really good 3-way battle for P7 right now. Look at all that spray. Let's go on board with Jeff Kepler, see what view he has here. It's going to be absolute treacherous, I'm sure. Oh, yeah, there we go, guys. Look at that view. 2-car spray going through right here. Going past T11, down up to T12, which is a left-hand kink. Should be able to take it straight, but it's really hard to get the line that you normally would take just because you can't see anything. RWB Cost said Rodders has disappeared from the list, and I believe he might have retired or maybe had a disconnect. I do not see him. Yeah, it looks like he did retire. He's showing up on my race director. It looks like Justin Madley went into the pits here. It looks like maybe he thought Leo was holding him up, maybe. Decided to go ahead and get into the pits, get his pit stop done early. So we'll have to see if that plays out for him. Grid is starting to fan out just a little bit. Lap times are still 2:11. It looks like the lap times are getting a little bit quicker as this race goes on. I'm not sure if that's just the tires getting some more temperature in them. Or maybe a dry line is starting to form somewhat. It doesn't look like from our view that there's much of a dry line. But we are seeing about 5/10 faster lap times now. We're going to do a scenic view just to see what these conditions are like. You can hardly see cars in the background there. You know, these Porsches are doing fairly well. Justin Manley and Jeff Kepler, they were up into the top 10. Looks like a fairly competitive car, especially in the wet here. This does not look like it's going to be letting up anytime soon. It's raining absolute cats and dogs. Wonder how long it's going to be until we see a river through the track, especially with all these elevation changes. I think it's safe to say that these conditions would definitely be red flagged. Oh, Jeff getting just a little bit loose there. But these conditions would probably most likely in real life not be raced. It would probably most definitely get red flagged through here. Let's go on board. Looks like everyone's kind of spacing out just quite a bit. Looks like Adam Sharp might have a battle on his hands. Looks like he's defending against P11, who's Dot Door. He's in the McLaren. He did 0.3 faster last lap. So let's see if he can close the gap. Up into turn 2, Crawthorne. Been seeing a lot of passing here at this turn. It's an uphill turn, so you can get a little bit of an inside line and brake a little bit later, but it's just hard to do with these wet conditions. And you can see Dot Door just all over that Aston Martin. Let's take a rear view look, just a look here. You know these drivers are very stressed out driving this close in the wet conditions. It looks like Dot Door is going to back off just a little bit. You can see Adam Sharp downshifted a little bit early there. It's probably helping him get a little bit better traction out of some of these corners. And that McLaren, Dot Door's McLaren is just all over. You can tell it's just really planted. That's probably just the lower center of gravity that's really helping it corner in these wet conditions. As it bucks up against them, turn 10 up into look up, coming down turn 11, which is a downhill corner, up into turn 12. My shaft, left hand flat out. You can see Adam lifted just a little bit there. He's probably worried about going a little bit wide. Oh, that door's going a little bit more wide there. You can really see the car's pushing because of these wet conditions. Just not enough grip. And it makes you wonder if Dot Door is going to maybe come into the pits pretty soon. Oh, looks like he's going to make a move on the inside here. Up into turn 16. He takes the inside lane. There is a little bit of contact there, but Dot Door is able to get through and get up into P10. What an absolute fantastic move there. There was a little bit of contact there, but it looked like, Adam just didn't realize he was up on the inside line. It looked like Dot Door was able to keep to his line. Fortunately, it looked like there was no damage or anyone that got spun because of the incident. Let's go on board with P14, Philip Varley. Race director is telling me there was a race here, but it doesn't look like it. So let's see if we can find another race. Leo Wicks in the Aston Martin. He's got Jeff in the Porsche behind him. About 21 cars, 50, about 20 minutes into the race. So we have had a few retirements this race. So it's, you know, kind of inevitable with these conditions. A lot of cars that go off track and they just get wrecked, and you know, just there's no point in racing when the car is just absolutely knackered. I think we started the race with 26 cars, so we're down 5 cars. Gotta love the look of the Aston Martin. I love that livery too. That like lime green is very easy to spot in these conditions. These guys, you know, they're doing these liveries to show off their favorite colors. They're using the in-game customized livery to show off their colors. Pretty cool to see a different grid, you know, from the stock ACC ones. A lot of time, especially when you think about how much practice these guys put into this race. You know, these guys, they practice all week, several hours of practice. So it's really cool to let them show off and then see their hard work pay off. We are going out of the final turn out of T16 Ingwe. And we're going to see this grid start to spread out more and more. We're seeing about a 1 to 2 second gap right now between most cars, and that's just because of the conditions. You know, when there's a lot more variables that can cause cars to lose time, they really start to fan out quite a bit more. When you have really dry, static conditions, everyone, you know, they've been practicing so much, there's only a few tints that separate cars. So we're not seeing too many battles, but we will be paying attention for, you know, any incidents or anything that might close the gaps through here. If you have any questions or anything, please reach out to us in the YouTube chat. We are monitoring the YouTube chat. We do appreciate your comments. We try to answer any questions that you guys have. Let's go down the list. We're 10 laps into the race. On P1 is RW Tevon. He's 5 seconds out in front of Rick Binnersley right now, so he's absolutely just running away through here. He did a 2:10.9 last lap, last lap. So he is definitely going a little bit quicker as these conditions improve. Or sorry, not improve, but you know, there's some grip somehow forming. Not sure if it's just because the tires are getting more temperature, or maybe there's like somewhat of a line forming. It doesn't look like it from our view, but they are finding some time through here. They're about a second faster than the start of the race, and the temperatures have not changed, so they're probably getting more temperature in those tires. P2, we have Rick Binnersley as he comes across the final turn, which is Ingwe. He's in the Aston Martin. He did a 2:12.1 last lap. P3, we have Euron Ruling. He did a 2:11.1 2:11.7 last lap. Correct me, sorry. He is in the Mercedes, really making the Mercedes work well right here. He's on podium. He's not done his pit yet. None of the guys up at front have done their pit. We've got, I would say, 25% of the grid that have done their pits yet, so a lot of pits still need to occur. Might shake up it a little bit. Kind of wondering if these guys might wait. I don't think even if the rain stopped right now, they would have enough time for the track to dry enough to go to the slicks. But maybe some guys are just waiting to see what happens. P4, we have Marco Badowski. He's coming up to Sunset. He's in the KTM. He did a 2:11.9 last lap. And P5, we have Finn Harvey Brown. He's in the Aston Martin. He did a 2:18.7 last lap. So he must have had an incident, maybe went off track. Hopefully he didn't pick up any damage. He hasn't done his pit yet. The car looks maybe a little bit twitchy going through Sunset up to P7, which is Clubhouse. But let's see if he stays out through here. P6, we have Don Jordan, who is in the Aston Martin. P7, Leo Wicks. P8, Jeff Kepler. He's in the Porsche. He's fighting, it looks like, a position from Dave Crew right now. Dave Crew's trying to keep him, you know, nice and close. Let's go on board with Dave Crew and see what happens. Oh, it looks like Jeff Kepler got a little bit wide there. He got a little bit loose, wasn't able to get a good exit. Dave Crew looks like maybe lifted. Dave is showing a lot of patience here. Let's see if is able to make a move up here. You're definitely probably going to see these guys as the race goes on become a lot more cautious as the race goes on. They're, just trying to get the car to the end. It's probably definitely consistency right now with these conditions at this track, with this grid right now, are probably going to pay better results than outright pace. But you can see there's not a lot to see through there. It looks like Jeff has extended the gap to about 2 seconds as they come through Cheetah up to turn 16, which is Engwe. Let's go ahead and continue down the line with P9, who is Door. He's in McLaren. He did a 2:12.9 last lap. Finn Harvey-Brown, who's in P10. Looks like he lost a position. I think he was in P9. Ian Simcox in P11. He's in the Aston Martin. He did a 2:15 last lap. P12, Sam Snellstrom. He's in the Porsche. He's up into P12. He did a 2:14.7 last lap. P14, Justin Madley, who's also in the Porsche. Justin has done his pit stop, so he's going to gain quite a few positions as these cars come in and do their pit stops. I'm not sure what the delta is here and where he's going to end up, but we're just going to have to wait and see how this race turns out. In P15, we have RWB Helmet. He's in the BMW. He did a 2:13.9 last lap. P16, Jorg Portwig. He is in P16. He's in the Mercedes. He's done his pit stop as well. P17 is C-Sam. He's in P17. He's in the Mercedes. He's done his pit stop. He did a 2:11.6 last lap, so a fairly quick time. That would actually put him in the top 2 in terms of lap time. So let's see if he can start clicking away some positions here, plugging some away, make some positions up. P18, we have Jody Barclow. He's in P18. He's done his pit stop. He's in the Aston Martin. P19, RWB Seahawks. He has not done his pit stop yet. Did a 2:13.1 last lap, so he probably just went off track a few times. P20, we have Alex Smith. He's in the Aston Martin. I can hardly see that car right now with these conditions. He's going through Cheetah right now in this final sector. He's 3.5 seconds up right now, though. He's probably been struggling quite a bit. His last lap was a 2:24, so that was probably his out lap. P21, Philip Farley, as he goes off track, commentary curse, spins the car just a few times in the barrier. Unfortunately for him, that's probably going to pick up quite a few damage. It looks like he's puttering off the side of the track. I'm not sure if he's it's still drivable. He's definitely getting out of the way for these other cars. Let's see if he's able to maintain some of this pace. He has not done his pit stop yet. So he'll probably come in, and I just lost the feed here, so we'll just wait just a few seconds. It looks like the thunderstorm is starting to affect our broadcasting quality, so we'll just give it a few seconds. All right, and we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties. It looked like our stream from the track did go down. I don't know if it was the thunderstorm, maybe interfering with our signal, but we did lose the video stream. We're back online, though. I was looking at the chat while we were waiting for our experts to fix our signal, and let's RWB Cost said, do you know if the same conditions in the two other tiers? So they are set up similarly. They do try to, have the same conditions. However, ACC, you can't have fixed condition. There's always some randomness to it, some variability to it. So unfortunately, I'm not sure if they're getting the same flooded or rain. I would seriously doubt it because these are, I would say not typical conditions, but it is very possible. Cribble Potato said, and he just crashed right now. Oh yeah, I think he was talking about Dot Door when we went to him from the live stream. But yeah, we've definitely been seeing a lot of guys go off track, a lot of crashes here. So hopefully these guys can keep it clean. We still have about 39 minutes left in the race. Let's go on board with the leader right now, RWB Tervon. He does have Rick Bittersley only 2 seconds behind, so I don't know if there was possibly an incident that happened why our stream went down, but unfortunately did lose that gap. Let's see if Rick Bittersley is able to bring it back down. Oh, and it doesn't look like I have the right timing. So Rick Bernsley is about 15 seconds behind RWB Tervon, so he's still quite a bit behind. Tervon is absolutely just taking, running away with this. Way out ahead in P1 right now. Looking at the championship points, Rick Bittersley, he is in P11 right now, so this is going to net him some really good points. Probably jump up quite a few positions here. Outstanding accomplishment to break up into that top 10 position, especially for tier 1 with these RWB guys. Very competitively. These guys are practicing all week for these races, so very close competition. Let's go on board with Justin. It looked like he had a battle, but he was probably just passing some back markers here. Justin's in that Porsche. He is the highest guy up the grid right now that has done a pit stop. So we'll have to see if the undercut works out for him. There's only about 38 minutes left in this race. 15 minutes worth of thunderstorm, so I don't think the conditions are going to change. The track conditions are changing just a little bit. The temperature of the track did come down just a little bit. We're at 19C, so it's going to get colder and colder as the time goes on. It's about 5:30 p.m. local time. That sun's going to start coming down. Temperatures are going to start dropping. This is really going to be a struggle for grip. But they're doing okay right now. Still pretty close to the same lap times at the start. We'll just have to wait and see. Let's go on board with CSAM right now. A pretty good battle right now between Helmet, who's in that BMW that you can see just in front of CSAM. CSAM did a 2:12.7 last lap. Helmet did a 2:14, so let's see if he can close this gap just a little bit. And to see that standing ladder in that gravel pit there, absolutely crazy. We did lose another retirement. It looks like possibly, not sure exactly who that was that did retire. It might have been Philip Varley. We'll have to see though. Just not a lot of good at situational awareness. Hopefully we are working, RWB is working on an application, a broadcasting application that hopefully will bring more situational awareness to us so that we can provide better commentary. Right now we're basically just commentating off what we see on the screen. We do have a tool to control the cameras, but unfortunately it's just not what we need to give you the information that you guys need. But CSAM's closing that gap up to Helmet. Helmet's a little bit loose through there. And that's Gory Portwig, who's in that gray Mercedes. So we have a three-way battle for P13 right now. Oh, it looked like Helmet just got a little bit loose through there. Has that Mercedes right up against him. He defends that inside line here. Very smart move. Forces CSAM to kind of lift the throttle and kind of file behind him. Let's go on board with Helmet and look right behind him. Look at that Mercedes, how close he is. Absolutely love the sound of this BMW. Going up to T3 and T4, the juke side sweep up to turn 5, which is barbecue. Oh, you can see CSAM just getting a little bit loose there. These cars are just dancing on the edge this whole time. You know these guys are sweating at their sim rigs this whole race. I bet a lot of them are going to be thankful once this race is over. Looks like Helmet is able to extend that gap just a little bit to CSAM's 1.3. CSAM is in P2 right now in the championship, so he needs to do well here to maintain his position. It looks like a lot of people that are a little bit lower in the championship points, they're doing fairly well this race, so it should shake up the championship quite a bit, bring the points pretty close, so it should be a good championship for the rest part of this league. After this race, we do have 2 more races. It is a 6-race championship. So round 5 will be at Barcelona. That will be next week, same time. And then after that, in 2 weeks, we have Misano. It should be interesting to see how these GT4 cars do at Misano. These GT4 cars don't have as much downforce, so they can ride the curves quite a bit more. And it looked like Gord Porwig went off into the gravel. It looks Helmet's going to take that position. So is CSAM. So Gorig is going to lose 2 positions there. Looked like maybe he just got loose down the final straight there. Seeing quite a few cars do that as they hit potholes, or sorry, not potholes, but puddles. It's standing water on the track. Let's go up into P2 with Rick Binnersley. He's defending against Euron Ruling. Is it P3? Euron is in the Mercedes. And these guys have not pitted yet. About half the grid has done their pit stops. 30 minutes left in this race, though. Cloud is this sky is just absolutely dark here. There's just no sun in sight. Just absolute thunderstorm conditions. Overcast. It's probably going to be like this for the end of the race. So hopefully there's not a river by the end of this race, but we'll just have to wait and see. It makes you wonder if a lot of these guys are, taking new wet tires. I'm not sure how, these really flooded conditions wear the tire. It'll be interesting after the race, and we'll have a post-race interview with the leaders. We'll have to ask them that question. Oh, it looked like, I think that was Dave Carew that was off track. He's in P17 right now, so he's not for position, but definitely having some scary moments here at Kalami. Let's go on board with Jeff Kepler. He's coming into the pits right now. He's going to do his mandatory pit stop. Oh, and he spins in the pits. Just not a lot of grip. That's going to cost him a few seconds there, unfortunately. Let's go on board with the lead Porsche right now. Sam Snelltrain. He's up into P8. He has not done his pit stops yet. So it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. He's about 18 seconds behind Don Jordan, so quite a big gap. These guys are really spread out because of these conditions. Oh, he goes a little bit wide into the gravel. Just couldn't get the car stopped in time. We are seeing the lap time starting to slow down a little bit. There's probably these flooded conditions and the temperature dropping just a little bit. About 5 cents slower than we were just 30 minutes ago. hopefully that's not a sign that the last 10 minutes of this race are going to be absolute, treacherous for these drivers. There's probably not going to be a lot of grip if the temperatures continue to drop. But imagine it's really hard for these guys to maintain heat in their tires right now. Let's go on board with Marco. He's in P4. He's in that K team. He's still holding on to this position. He's got about a 6-second gap to P3 right now. He did a 2:12.4 last lap. Been fairly consistent. Oh, there's someone paused on the side of the road. They're not sure what was going on there. Looked like maybe some damage. Gonna probably have to call the tow truck to get him pulled off the road there. A little bit of a safety hazard, but Marco Badowski's able to get around him safely. Let's go on board with P16, Jody Barclow. He's kind of tracking down P15, Yorick Portwick, who's in that Mercedes. Let's go on board. Let's see. This dash can look like Yorick got a little bit loose here. Let's see if Jody Barclow can take advantage of that. You can just hear the car flooded. Just hydroplaned the whole time. He's going to take a wide and then try to take an inside move here. Up into the Crocodiles. I just cannot see absolutely anything right now. This spray. And it looks like Marco Badowski up into P3 somehow. Not sure if it looks like Jan Ruling's up into P2 right now. It's because P1 just went into the pit, so he's getting his mandatory pit out of the way. That's going to be RW Tervan. He's on coming out of the pits right now. That's going to put him up into P11, I believe. And I'm not sure, it doesn't show that he has done his mandatory pit. Don't know if that's just a graphical bug or if he got a drive-through and that's why he had to come in. If it was a drive-through, that's going to be an absolute critical mistake here. Let's see if Rick Binnersley should allow him to close the gap a little bit. I think Tervan was about 18 seconds out in front of Binnersley, so that could make a big difference here. It's about a 23-second drive-through time here, so that would put him well, behind in P2. Let's go on our on-track camera. Look at these conditions. Look at that absolute just downpour right now. As Tervan comes through, he's going through the S's, turn 8 and turn 9 right now. Up into turn 10, which is Lecope. A little bit of a blind corner through here. Let's see as he completes the lap if it will register the mandatory pit. If not, he probably did get a drive-through, unfortunately. Oh, he went off into the gravel just a little bit there. And it looks like he's coming to a stop. Oh, and he has to retire the car. I wonder if he went off track and got some damage, unfortunately. That just shows how these conditions can completely change the race, guys. He was out in front in P1 for the majority of the race, and now he's in the pits. I think he retired the car. That's an unfortunate race for Tervan. We're down to 19 cars, so not too many cars are making it down to the end. We still have the top 7 guys. They still need to come in for their pits. So anything could happen. The race could shake up at the very end. It's going to be an exciting end to this race, guys. Your ruling is about 2 seconds behind Rick Binnersley, so this is a close race for pole position right now. Let's go on board with Euron. Just look at all that rain on that window. The windshield wipers are definitely working overtime today. You can see the car just going a little bit wide there. You can just really hear that swooshing sound. That is the sound of the car hydroplaning with all the standing water. It almost looks like a mirror, doesn't it? Just reflecting so much of the environment just because of the non-stop thunderstorm. The track conditions say flooded. I would have to agree that it's definitely flooded right now. Looks like Ruling is keeping a good, consistent pace. He's not letting Binnersley get away from here. Hopefully Binnersley can keep his cool. If not, Ruling will be right there to capitalize. And no, Leo Wicks, he just got a stop and go, 30-second stop and go. He probably came out of the pits a little bit with the pits limiter a little bit too early. Got that stop and go. He was up into P8, already got his mandatory pits done. That's going to be crucial. That's unfortunately going to put him pretty far back in the grid. Really unfortunate turn of events there. We're 22 laps into the race, guys. Let's go through the grid. Let's see who's in what position. In P1 we have Rick Binnersley. He's up in P1. He's closely being followed by Euron Ruling. You see that dark Mercedes right behind him, just kind of prowling, you know, just enough where you can see the headlights. But Rick Binnersley's doing an absolute fantastic race. Did a 2:12 last lap. He's got about a 2-second gap, and he's in the Aston Martin. 23 laps in. P2, Euron Ruling. He's right behind Rick Binnersley. He's in P2. He's in the Mercedes. And did a 2:11 last lap. See if he can close that gap to Rick in the next few laps. Marco Badowski, he's in the pits. He's getting that mandatory pit stop out of the way, so he's taking the undercut here. He's in P3. He's played a very nice, consistent race. Gonna see if that maybe played to his strategy, but it definitely pays to be consistent here. He's in P3. Let's see if he comes out. Not sure where he's going to come out. It doesn't update until he completes his outlap. But we'll have to come back to him. Don Jordan, P4. He's also getting his mandatory pit done. He just came into the pit. He's in currently P5. He's in the Aston Martin. It looks like a little bit of damage on the front there. Not sure. Maybe he's going to repair that damage. It might not impact him that much just because these guys are, you know, going slow anyways. But we'll have to wait and see. Justin Madley. He's in P6. He's doing a really good race. He actually climbed up quite a few positions. He did a early pit stop strategy. He's already cleared his mandatory pit. He's in P6. He's doing 2:14 last lap. Absolute love that RWB cream livery. It looks really good here, especially even in the rain. Getting a little bit loose going into turn 2. Sam Snelltrain, he's in a Porsche as well. He's in P7. He has not done his mandatory pit stop yet, so he's gonna have to come in pretty soon. The next few laps. 22 minutes left in this race. In P8, Jeff Kepler, he's also in the Porsche. Pretty interesting to see 3 Porsches in the top 10. Makes you wonder if this car, had a pretty good advantage here in the rain. I know the GT3 Porsche does really well in the rain. I believe the GT4 Cayman has a mid-engine mount. It's not rear engine like the GT3, so might not have as much advantage here. But these guys are keeping it consistent. They're banging these laps out and they're doing really well. So props to Jeff Kepler and the 3 guys. P9, we have Finley Brown. He's in P9. Not able to click on him. Not sure if it's a race director bug or if he's retired. I think Finn Harvey Brown has retired, actually. Because in P9, I'm able to click on Jody Barclow. He's in the Aston Martin. He's gotten his mandatory pit out of the way. He's did a 2:13.8 last lap. P10, RWB CSAM. So that undercut starting to play to his advantage, keeping it nice and consistent. I think he was down into P19 at the start of this race. He's up to P10, just keeping it nice and consistent. P11, Yori Portwig. You can see a little bit of damage on the front of that Mercedes, unfortunately. He might have picked up a little bit of damage. He's into P11. He's got his mandatory pit out of the way. So let's see if he can hold on that position. But closely behind him as they go into the S's is Helmet. He's in that BMW with those bright yellow-green wheels. He's closely behind Gorig Portwig. Gorig does have that damage, so he might be able to close this gap. RWB Helmet did a 212 best, or 221.9 last lap. I think that was his. This is his out lap, so that would be the reason why. But he's right behind Gorig. He'll probably try to close that gap down. In P13, we have Dave Crew. He did a 213 last lap. He's in the McLaren. P14, we have Leo Wicks in the Aston Martin. Did a 308. Sorry, I apologize. Last lap. He's in P14. Ian Simcox, who's in P15, did a 214.388 last lap. He's in that Aston Martin. RWB Hacks in the red and black McLaren. Love that livery. He's in P16, did a 213.6 last lap. P17, we have the retirement. RWB Tehran. Unfortunate events for him. He was leading the whole race. I'm not sure if he just got loose, got some damage, but we did not see it. But he did have to retire the car. Philip Varley, he's still out on the race. It makes me wonder if Trevon maybe didn't retire the car. He's just repairing a lot of damage, and we'll have to wait and see. He's still showing up on the race director, so he might not have retired the car. We have Philip Varley in P18. He's in P18. He's in the Aston Martin. He's coming across T16 Ingwe. He's coming across the start-finish line. Did a 212.8 last lap. Alex Smith, he's in P19. It looked like he retired the car. P19, Adam Sharp, he's also showing up as P19. He retired the car on unfortunate events, and I think we had about 4 or 5 retirements so far. I'm not able to sing their name because they've left the session, but we have had quite a few retirements. These are red flag conditions, as RWB Cost said in the chat, but they are coming to a close. With about 19 minutes left in this race, we'll go back to the leaders. Rick Bernsley's got about a 2-second gap now behind him, so he's starting to stretch that lead out. You got to wonder when these two are thinking about coming in to get their pits done. They still got to do their mandatory pit. They have 13 minutes left in the pit window to get the pit done, so it's going to be pretty interesting last bit of this race. 3 to 4 second gap between most of the cars. They are starting to spread out quite a bit. If you have any questions for these guys, the top 3, the podium sitters, please let us know in the chat. We'll try to answer as many questions as we can. I know you guys have a lot of questions. These conditions have been absolutely insane. These guys have been keeping it pretty consistent. You can even see Bennersley getting a little bit loose through there. Just not a lot of grip on the track right now. As we watch Rick Bernsley turn some laps while we look for some other battles, let's go ahead and mention our sponsors. So I'll keep it short because I'm a little bit biased, but Racing Sim Tools does sponsor this RWB GT4 League. And what that means is if you're in this GT4 League and you would like a ACC license, because you are part of the league, and Yuan Ruling just went into the pits. He's going to try to do an undercut here on Rick Bennersley. We'll have to see if this plays out to his favor. Rick Bennersley has 12 minutes to come in the pit, so we'll have to see if he comes out, pretty soon. But Yuan probably thinking he was getting held up a little bit by Bennersley, so did the undercut to see if he can come in and do some better lap times without that traffic in front of him. But as we were saying, RST is the sponsor for RW for this league. If you would like a license and you are a participant in the league, you can message us in the Discord. I will give you a license for this league. That is part of our sponsor split. RST basically. Oh, and that looks like Helmet off track as he comes back in. Unfortunate events for Helmet. I think that was him. Let's see. Yeah, that was him. He's in P12 right now. I don't think he lost any positions, so hopefully he didn't get any damage. Now it's going to be hard to get the sponsorship in just because of all the incidents that are going on. But we'll try to be real quick. RST is basically just a piece of software. It makes it more accessible. It's not like Motec where you have to know all the math and the theory. RST tries to simplify it for you. Allows you to get the data you need and formats that data in such a way that allows you to... and RWB Helmet getting a little bit loose again as he goes wide into the gravel pit. And just not a lot of grip for that BMW, unfortunately. He is going to lose P13 to Dave Crew as Dave goes by. But RST, it's a really good piece of software. $15 if you want a standalone license, one-time payment, or if you want access to all games, you can pay a $7 monthly subscription. We are, for ACC, allowing a data database, which means we're getting data from an esports player. You can use their data to analyze where you're losing time. So it's a really good feature. But check it out, racingsimtools.com, and we'll get back to the race. So unfortunately, Helmet did lose that position to Dave Crew. Just getting a little bit of damage there, not a lot of grip. Going on board with Justin Madley. He's in up to P5 right now. He's got Dot Door right behind him. Let's go on board with Dot Door and watch the battle ensue. Has not let up at all in terms of track conditions. That windshield is just absolutely covered with rain pellets. Oh, and it looks like Justin got a little bit loose there. Dot Door was able to close it just a little bit. Let's take another onboard look so we get a little bit more view. That is your view, guys. That's what the drivers are looking at. Oh, and it looks like he's able to get a little bit on the inside. Justin Madley placed the car very nicely, was able to keep the door closed. And Rick Binnersley did his pit. He's coming out on his outlap. Ruling is still farther back than Rick Binnersley, so he was actually no, I am corrected. Ruling is just went into turn 2, so he did gain that position over Rick Binnersley. So we have a new race leader. We'll have to see if he's able to keep this lead, but Rick Binnersley lost about, it looks like 2 seconds through the pits. So Euron did a really good undercut through there. Got up into the race lead, so he's up into P1 and Rick Binnersley in P2. Let's go back to that battle, though, between Justin Madley and Dot Door. Dot Door was able to get it done. Unfortunately, we did not see the move, but Justin's down at the P6. Dot Door is into P5. Dot Door did a 2:13.2 last lap. Justin Madley did a 2:14.3, so quite a bit faster that last lap. It's definitely shaking up. Most of the grid has done their mandatory pit stop, except for Sam Snelltrain. He has not. He's in P7 right now. He'll have to probably come in, probably put him down around, I would believe, P12, P13. We'll have to wait and see. We did have another retirement. We're down to 18 cars on this grid now. 13 minutes left in the race. 8 minutes left in the pit window. Still, forecast is flooded the next end of the race, essentially. 18C ambient, 19C track conditions, so pretty cool conditions, especially with these rain conditions. And these guys are definitely going to be struggling to put heat into these tires. Beautiful shot here at Columbia and Johannesburg. Not a good day for spectators, I think that's safe to say. You can see the track is just absolutely flooded. There's just a nice glossy finish to it. It almost looks like a mirror. You have to wonder if these guys are starting to just put their heads down and try to put consistent laps in, just trying to make it to the end. They're pretty spread out. Oh, Justin Madley just going a little bit wide through there. Got to be careful not to get too many track warnings. Don't want to get a drive-through this late in the game. You definitely lose a few positions. But these guys are probably just trying to keep consistent, just try to keep the car nice and clean, make it home, bring the car home to the team, and hold on to the positions they already have. There is a little bit of battle between these two guys, but they're still pretty spread out. About a 2-second gap. Ruling, he's got a little bit of a gap now. He's got a 4-second gap to Rick Binnersley, so that undercut really played out well for him. A Mercedes just looks really cool here at Colombia in these rain conditions. It almost looks like a panther. Looks like Hungaroring is coming up on a back marker. I believe that's Hacks he's coming up to. Hacks will probably, give way to him, allow him to get around, just to, prevent Rick Binnersley from closing the gap more unnecessarily. Absolute great racecraft. If you guys like what you're watching, be sure to check out RWB International at our website. Website will be linked in the Discord channel. Absolute fantastic group of guys. We're all around the world. We race clean, we race hard, we race for a position. You can absolutely tell that this last 75 minutes absolutely been grueling for these guys, but they did an absolutely fantastic job. The incidents have been kept fairly small considering the conditions that we've seen here. And 29 laps here at Colombia, less than 10 minutes to go, about 4 minutes left. Sam Snelltrain is gonna have to come in. Everyone's pitted except for Sam. So we'll see when he comes in. He'll probably lose a few positions here. We're going to go on board with P8, Jeff Kepler right now. He's battling Sam Snellstrain for position. However, Sam does need to come into the pit, so Jeff is probably just going to wait for him to come to the pits to get that position. But about 1 second gap between the two. Been seeing a pretty good showing from the Porsches today. All three in the top 10 right now. Justin Burley in the YouTube chat says, yes, some places are very, very wet. Almost Aquaplane City. Yeah, it's we've definitely been seeing it on the broadcast. We've seen quite a few accidents where they were just going straight on the straight. They weren't even cornering. They just hit a puddle and they just lost the rear, unfortunately. These conditions, they've probably been on, biting their nails this whole race. Been absolutely stressed out. So I'm sure a lot of them are going to enjoy the end of this race. But we got about 8 minutes left. These two, the closest battle that we have. Sam Snellstrain still needs to come in for a pit, but about a 1 to 2 second gap between the two. Oh, and Sam goes off track just a little bit through there, just a little bit wide. Really easy to do there, coming out of the S's. It's a little bit of a downhill section. The car just wants to push out because of the downhill. So it's just a little bit easy to go wide there, especially with these wet conditions. Let's go down the grid, guys. 7 minutes left in this race. At P1, we have Hungaroring. He's in that Mercedes. He's leading the pack. He's did a 2:12.2 last lap. Rick Binnersley, he's in P2. He is about 8 seconds behind P1 right now. Just keeping it consistent. Looks like he may have picked up a little bit of damage. That front end looks like a little bit of flicker from that light there. But he's just trying to keep it consistent and bring it car home. He's got about a 15-second gap to P3, who is Marco Badowski. He's in the KTM. He's kept a very consistent race this race. That KTM doesn't look like it has hardly any damage here. P4, we have Don Jordan, who's had a few unlucky events. He did spin on the I think that was barbecue T5 when we were watching it. We gave him commentary scores. He does have a little bit of damage there. As you can see, some of that paint is gone. But he's done a really good job. He's brought himself back up to P4, trying to bring it back for the end of the race. P5, we have Dot Door, who's in the McLaren. He's looks like battling Justin madly just a little bit. Justin's just a little bit in the distance there, about a 5-second gap, so not anything to be too worried about, but just close enough that if anything happens, Justin could be there to capitalize on it. P6 is Justin Madley, who is in that striking distance of the dot door. He's in that Porsche. He's the lead Porsche right now. He did a 2:13.6 last lap. P7, we have Jeff Kepler. He is in the Porsche. Did a 2:14.7 last lap. Jeff is in P4 right now in the championship points. So this should be a fairly good outing for him. A lot of the guys that were in the top part of the championship, they are not here today, so he'll move a few positions up, I believe. P8, we have C-Sam. He's in Mercedes, up into P8. He was down at P18 at the start of the race. He climbed his way back up in the top 10 now. Fairly good race. Definitely keep your head held up high as he comes into T13, which is the Crocodiles. We have in P9, Jody Barclow. He's in the Aston Martin. He did a 2:15.4 last lap. P10, Yorwig Portwig. And we have a little bit of a battle here between Sam Snelltrain and Dave Crew. Sam is in P11. He was out in front of Jeff Kepler, but he had to come in for his mandatory pit, what he has done in the last couple of laps. He's battling Dave Crew for P11, though. Dave is right hot on his tail. There's about 5/10 that separate these two as they come up to the Cheetah. We'll have to see if Dave's got 4 minutes to make something happen the last part of this race. Let's go do the quickly through the rest of the list. We'll come back. So Dave Cruz in P12, Leo Wicks in P13, RWB Helmet in P14. In P15 we have EM Simcox in the Aston Martin. P16 RWB Hacks in the McLaren. P17 Philip Varley in the Aston Martin. P18 Tavron, he unfortunately had to retire the car. He was leading most of this race. P19 was Alex Smith. P20 was Adam Sharp, and P23 was Buchek. But let's go back to that battle between Sam Snelltrain and Dave Carew here. Let's go on board so we can see the action. A little bit of a battle, and Gory Portwig went off track a little bit because Sam Snelltrain was able to get around him. So Sam Snelltrain up into P10, Gorig Portwig in P10, and Dave Crew is in P12, and Dave is definitely going to try to make some positions up here. This kind of worked out for Sam Snelltrain because he's going to be able to get away from Dave Crew now as Gorig Portwig and Dave Crew battle for this position. You can definitely tell these drivers are, being very cautious with these cars on the limit. They're not, Gorig is getting a little bit loose here. It looks like Dave Crew might be able to make a move here. He's taking the outside. Gorig breaks early here. Dave Crew does take the position. It looks like it's going to stick. So Dave Crew up into P11. Great move by Dave. It looked like Gorig Portwig maybe just got a little bit loose through there. And unfortunately, he lost the position. Dave Crew now is, looks like about 2 seconds behind Sam Snelltrain. He's got 2 minutes left, so it'll be hard to close that gap, but we'll have to see. These two were battling earlier, so it's anyone's game right now. One minute and 30 seconds left. Still, heavy rain, 18C track, so the temperature has dropped just quite a little bit. These guys are just going to try to keep these cars clean and bring them home. Dave has got about a 1 second gap to Sam, so just not enough time to close that gap. But let's go ahead and go on board with the leader, Hungaroring. He is quite far ahead of Rick Binnersley. Looked like his strategy really played out well for him. we'll have to see where, how far of a gap as he comes across, like 10-second gap to Rick Bennersley. I have to wonder if Rick is starting to, just bring the car home, just get it across the line. Marco is about 15 seconds behind Rick. So pretty spread out podium here. But let's watch Hungaroring, complete these last few laps of the race. Just to remind you guys, at the end of this race, we will bring in the podium sitters onto the voice chat. We'll ask them a question about the race. If you have any questions, please let us know in the chat. We'll try to answer your questions as much as possible. But please stay tuned at the end of this race and watch the interview. It'll be really interesting to see what the driver's point of view was. It's been a crazy race to watch. I can only imagine what these drivers have been going through. And as the race time clock goes to 0, Hungaroring is coming up to turn 12, which is mineshaft, up into turn 13, which is the crocodiles. I'm not sure if he'll have to go another lap. We'll have to see. But Hungaroring is up in, pretty easy to say, up into P1 at this point. Got about a 10-second gap. Takes a lot of curb through the Cheetah. Probably played a big advantage. I know the Mercedes can take curves a lot better than most cars, than the GT4 cars. So that probably definitely did help. But as Hungaroring comes through, he does collect the checkered flag. So he does take P1. In P2, we have Rick Bennersley. P3, we have Marco Badowski, who's coming up into the final turn here. He's in the KTM. What a great race by Marco. Very consistent race, has got him the position that he needs to be. Podium, going to give him a lot of good championship points. In P4, we have Don Jordan, who's coming through the last lap. That Aston Martin did collect a little bit of damage, it looks like, but he's up into P4. What a great recovery drive by him. He did have that incident where he went off track earlier in the race. I think he was down to like P15 or so. So really good recovery drive from him. In P5, we have Justin Madley, who's in the Porsche. He's did a really good race. He did a 2:13 last lap. As he comes across the finish line. Oh, and he loses it into the wall. Hopefully he's not footing the bill. Dot Door coming across the line. He's in that McLaren. Really good battle between him and Justin. It looked like Justin just was able to hold on just a little bit longer. Jeff Kepler, he's in the Porsche. He's P4 right now in the championship. He's coming across the line in P7. RWB CSAM, he's in P2 in your championship right now. He's coming across the final turn. He's in the Mercedes. He was down to P18 at one point, so what a great recovery drive by him. Going to get a good amount of points for that. Probably maintain that P2 position. And P9, we have Jody Barclow. He's in the Aston Martin as he comes across the line. Can barely see him because he's in that gray Aston Martin. It's, absolute torrential downpour right now. In P10, we have Sam Snailtrain. He's in the white Porsche. In P11, we have Dave Crew right on his tail. Great battle between these two, all the way to the end here. P12, we have Gorig Portwig. His Mercedes is looking a little bit banged up there. But he's able to maintain the position. There was 26 cars that started on the grid, so he was doing a really good job, even with the damage, just to make it to the end here. And P13, we have RWB Helmet, who's in the BMW. Leo Wicks is already back to the pits. He was in P14. Hax was in P14. He was in the McLaren. P15, Ian Simcox, who's in the Aston Martin. P16, we have Philip Varley, who is in the Aston Martin. And P16, unfortunately, who was leading most of the race, is RWB Tivron. He went to the pits. I don't know if he got damaged, but he had to retire the car, unfortunately, after leading for the majority of this race. P19 was Alex Smith. P20 was Adam Sharp. P23 was Ignacy Buchek. But hold on for 1 second, guys. We are going to go ahead and grab the podium sitters into the voice chat and ask them a few questions about the race. If you have any questions, please let us know in the YouTube channel. But please hold on for just 1 second.
Weird issue in the pits where
I only trained in the medium.
All right, guys, we're back with the podium, guys. We have um, Ruling, who actually did P1 on this race. We have Rick Binnersley, who is in P2, and we have Marco Badowski, who is in P3. Before we get into the questions, I just want to congratulate you guys on finishing the race. Everyone watched on the stream how crazy the track conditions were. Absolute downpour the whole race. Let's start with P1 Ruling. From your point of view, I think you started in P3. It looked like you did an undercut on Rick Binnersley, and you overtook him when Rick went into the pit strategy or into the pit lane. Was that part of your pit strategy, or what was the gameplay for you taking the early pit there?
I had the pace. I knew I had the pace, but I couldn't see a thing, so I couldn't get any closer. Every time I got between 0.5 and 1.5, it just was white. I just couldn't see my braking point, so I knew I only needed 1 liter, so I only pitted for 1 liter, and I even overbraked the pit stop. But he did the same, I heard afterwards. So yeah, it worked out for me in the end. I'm naked though. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, congratulations on P1. Absolute awesome race. You really started to pull away here at the end. But congratulations. We'll move on to P2 now, who Rick Binnersley, who was on P2 for quite a while until there was an incident with Turvon, who then took the race lead. Were you surprised when there was the incident with the P1 and then you had to lead the race for a majority of the race, actually?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, because he was just. I was sort of just changed my setup and before the start of the race from qualifying, just to make it a little bit more stable for, hopefully, to be more consistent for the race and just keep it on the black stuff. So he just pulled away at the start of the race, and I thought just let him go. I'm just going to tootle around, try and be consistent, and see where he end up. And then I came round and I saw him. He was at the side of the track. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah. So just take what you can, don't you? So, and I know the guy in P3. I thought he was going to be quicker than me. I thought I'm just going to stay out, and then he's got my spray to contend with because when you were behind another car, you just could not see a thing. And then he dived in the pit, so I tried to cover him and dived in the pits. And then I messed up my pit stop, so that didn't work. But congratulations to him. He was quicker than me anyway, so deserved to be on the top step.
Absolutely, and absolutely fantastic racing, Rick Binnersley. We were watching you for the majority of the race, and it absolutely looked herring, but you did a great job. So congratulations on that P2.
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll enjoy the night off. Next is P3, who's Marco Badowski. He was driving the KTM. Marco, we saw a lot of people, getting loose on the straightaways. The KTM is a lighter car. Did you have any of those kind of issues on the straightaway, or do you think that having a lighter car kind of helped out in the wet conditions?
I had quite some issues on the start and finish straight and on the back straight with that downhill left kink, especially in qualifying. But on the race, I think I spun off like 2 or 3 times on the left hander and smashed into the wall both times, which cost me like 30 to 40 seconds overall when you consider the damage. But when it came to the slow corners like Sector 2 or Sector 3, apart from the fast speed left-hander, the car was just way better, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we saw a lot of cars have issues on those two corners that you had mentioned in the straightaway. We actually saw quite a few cars spin on the straightaway, which was kind of interesting to see. At the start of the race, there was an incident. Were you able to keep your car out of that incident, or did you see what had happened?
I think I was starting right behind Rick, and the guy who was supposed to start right in front of me somehow disconnected and got put to the back of the grid, which helped me out quite a lot. But when the lights went green, Rick somewhat reacted slowly, so I just tried to take the chance, go up the inside, and I just saw that someone got spun around, but then I went side by his side with, I think it was Jordan, into the long right-hander, and there is that very little puddle that you come across when you're on the inside, and I thought it was the death for both of us and a big penalty for me.
Oh, wow. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to come talk to us here in the stream. Congratulations again on the race performance. You guys did an absolute fantastic job. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy the time off after that crazy race. But congratulations and have a good night.
Thank you for the commentary, though.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Good racing, guys.
All right. All right, guys. As we're ending the stream, if you guys like what you saw here at the GT4 League hosted by RWB, be sure to check out RWB's website, and the link will be in the description of this stream. We have racers from all across the country, all across the world. We have guys in Europe, we have guys in America, pretty much just everywhere. There's a lot of races. They're accommodating to a lot of different time zones. I actually do the races because I'm American and they race on the weekends, which is perfect. But check out the link below. You don't need to race alone. Race RWB. I hope you guys have a good night. Join us next week for Barcelona. But until then, I'll catch you guys later.